Oh, hello, it's your girl Zabiel. Welcome or welcome back. I appreciate you being here per usual. A lot has happened, but long story short, your girl's a baker. Big baker energy. Like, I bake now. And I feel like I'm gonna say this story constantly in my life, but I used to hate the idea of baking. Like, I wasn't a baker. I wasn't even a sweets person, let alone baking and wanting to bake. I was a cook. Like, I like to cook. Like, if someone's coming over, oh, I'll make a nice meal or something, but dessert, that's on you. Figure it out. Or let's go get some candy. Let's go pick up some dessert if you want. But I wasn't the dessert girly at restaurants. And here I am about to bake with y'all. But yeah, it's a bake and Kiki. Let's talk, let's catch up. A lot has happened in my life. I don't know that I'm gonna go down a whole lot about what's been going on, but I think we're gonna just chit chat. Let's see where it goes and go from there. I got my measuring cups. I'm old school. I know a lot of the new school people are doing weights and stuff to measure their ingredients. I do have got a little scale over here. It's so cute, I love it. And it helps me to weigh the dough, but I don't weigh all my ingredients. I just use cups, it works. But we're gonna just make some classic bread, a bread loaf. 2 actually. I think I'm gonna make 2 today. Yeah, I'm gonna make 2 and we're gonna see how it goes. Very minimal ingredients are needed, to be honest. I have my recipe right here. I use salt, sugar, yeast, like actual instant yeast. That's the thing I love to use. Of course, flour. I'm doing all-purpose flour because I feel like that's a convenient flour that everyone typically has, but bread flour is great. I usually use bread flour, but I'm like, I like this some all-purpose flour and see how that goes. So, yeah, but let's dive in. I have my cup. I think I'm gonna do my regular 6 cups. I think I'm gonna do my 6 cups because I'm trying to make 2 loaves of bread, so that typically ends up being about 6 cups. So that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, how could y'all let me start without my apron? Hold on a second, because this will get messy. I always have my apron on no matter what. That is so important to me. Just, it gives me the vibe. I don't know. Like, I never used to care for this stuff really, and now I am. So it's just like this cute little ritual. Just put your apron on, get your ingredients out, and get to work. 1 cup down. Cup number 2, hopefully, coming out right now. Just fluff it out. I am not a perfect baker. I'm not like, there's no real thing about how I do it. It's just a matter of what's convenient and easy enough. But I do challenge myself in baking because that's just me in life in general. Anything that I feel is done a certain way and I have questions, I'm like, okay, can I switch it up? Can I do it my own way? That is naturally who I am. Oh my gosh, you're gonna see flour flying because it's just how I do. But okay, now I have my big bag of flour that I'm getting into. Oof, okay. Wow, talking and baking is, yeah, shout out to the people that do this on the regular, because wow. I think for me, baking is all about, at first, I used to think it was all about like exact measurements. And if you mess this up, it'll come out a disaster. And I didn't like that. I liked how, I love actually still, how cooking, you just measure the seasoning with your heart. You know what I mean? Like, you can do what you want and kind of get away with it. Versus baking, everyone seems to be like, have to, it's a science basically. You have to get it right or else. And I just think, I wasn't intimidated by it, but I don't, oh my God, I was gonna say I don't like rules. I do like rules. I just also am curious on how to shake it up a bit. Not necessarily break them, right? But just shake it up. What am I on, cup 4? Y'all, count with me, please. I think this is cup 4. I'm like, if I do shift the recipe a little bit, what do I get? I'm curious, and so far I'll tell you this much, I have not ever thrown away a bread that I've baked because I just make it work, or any type of thing that I bake for that matter. I bake a lot of things actually these days. Wow, I'm like shocked. Maybe I'll insert some photos. Insert photos here. Boom. But yeah, I bake a whole lot and I have barely thrown away much, honestly. I just eat it. People eat it. Like, we all eat it in the house, like we just enjoy, and I take notes. I'm like, okay, I have notes, like here's what I would do better. But as far as the whole, if you don't get it right, you can't have fun and still enjoy the food, I don't stand by that. So that's kind of what got me excited to continue to bake, to be honest. I hope this was 5 cups. Oh my God, this is hard. I want to say I have 1 more cup to do. So I'm gonna do 1 more. It's supposed to be 6 cups because about 3 cups can give you like a pretty big loaf. So I typically just do 6 cups and then split it in half. But if you want a smaller loaf, if you want it to be like a slice of bread kind of size, then you can do that by all means. It really is up to you how you do it, but yeah, that's kind of how I cut it. If this is more flour, then fun. But see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you just do it and try it and see what happens. But no food is wasted here, so please know that I'm not promoting wasting food at all. Salt is next. We're gonna do about 2 teaspoons of salt. The thing with salt, right? Like I told you guys, I'm a rebel, so I would put my own twist on how much salt is needed and stuff. And I made a salty bread one day, and I said, you know what? Maybe the measurement is actually smart. So I still do like a rough estimate, but okay. You see right here, I'll put a little extra because sometimes I don't put enough. You know what I mean? Like, you just have fun with it. We're gonna have some sugar in there. We're gonna mix it up too, of course. The flour is all in here. I'm gonna mix it up. Then we're gonna put some sugar. About a tablespoon. Okay. And I actually want to memorize this recipe, but I especially am distracted right now, so I'm like, hold up, let me make sure I look at what I'm doing. Pay a level of attention at least. And then yeast, we're gonna do about 2 1/4 actually of yeast. So my instant yeast, I know people have active dry yeast with yeast, which I have confused before. So be careful. There's like nutritional yeast, and then there's like active yeast, instant. I use instant. Nutritional yeast you could put in like actual food that you're cooking, but you don't bake. Like, yeast helps the bread rise. So very friggin' important, but don't mix it up with nutritional yeast like I did. I ended up buying it, and I still have it here actually, because like I said, it don't go to waste. So I ended up, oh yeah, how many? Sorry, I gotta pay attention. The yeast I don't play about. Hold on, let me make sure. This is teaspoon, yep, so 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons. All right. Okay. This should be enough. Okay. See, some things you just gotta focus, of course. But now we'll mix it all up, make sure salt, everything is mixed in. And then I use good old margarine. Okay, for this recipe, I don't have butter. I just use margarine because, period. It works, it's fine. About 2 tablespoons of margarine, bow bow. And then I'm gonna mix it all in. I should have actually cut it a little bit. So these are decent sized pieces. I'll just cut it in half. And I wash my hands real good, by the way. I do not play about that. So hands are already taken care of. And now the fun part. I start to mix it up and see what we got. Talking and baking is wow. But actually this whole baking journey, which I'm just mixing it all up, making sure it gets just combined, easily combined, evenly combined as well. This is a moment where, let's say you want to have some fun and you want to add a little extra little pizzazz of seasoning or whatever, you do you. I do just salt and sugar. It does work pretty well, especially for the standard bread, because if you put a lot of seasoning, then maybe you can't put some peanut butter or almond butter on it, because you know the taste may be a little funky, or it might work for you. Hey, look, do you. I love the idea that like you can do what you want. Next, I'm gonna get the water, because that is how you get this dough going. So let me go get that. Be right back. Okay, so my warm water is here, and we're gonna sprinkle it on over, which y'all can't see, but oops. But I'm just sprinkling it over. Okay, I had put really hot water in the beginning when I was baking, and oof, it did not work out. It ended up being just like too slimy. Like the dough got too slimy, because even though they said warm, I was still putting like scorching hot water. So that's something to keep in mind. I still got the bread done and it was good, like I said. So it's not the end of the world, but it's something I've learned on my journey. Like now that I've made at least, I would say I've made about, oh my gosh, 50 maybe bread, no lie, no exaggeration, like dough and all that. I've made about 50 in the last couple months, just learning all on my own, and it's been pretty freaking cool. Wow. That's pretty freaking cool. But yeah, so we're mixing it and we're getting ready to let the dough become this like cohesive little mass. So I'll kind of show y'all real quick. So, okay. So I'm just gonna keep mixing and mixing and mixing. And by the way, the thing that actually got me really into baking was cake. I one day was like, okay, me and my sister are really getting into cake because like I said, I have never been a sweets person really. My sister was like, and is, you know, like she's, let me fix this. Look, guys, we're gonna do this together, okay? Editing as we go, okay. But yeah, my sister is a big sweets person. And so we ended up buying here and there, especially when like times were challenging, the sweets really helped us to like, you know, like get happy again. So I was like, oh, okay, I get the hype. Because I was, like I said, never a dessert person after dinner. Like, barely cared about that. It just didn't matter to me. And so as I was getting into it, me and my sister realized, like, oh, these cakes are really helping us to, like, get happy and to just celebrate. I mean, we just really connected on a slice of cake brings in true joy. And I realized the value in it, but I kept feeling like, okay, every time I want a slice of cake, I gotta go get it because I'm so against baking. Like, no, I don't like that. I wanted to do it from scratch, out of nowhere, y'all. Like, I kid you not, that is the story, and that's what I'm sticking with. Like, I just was just like, I don't want to have to do this. Like, I want to be able to have options. So one day I was home and I said, I have flour, I have all the stuff I need for this cake, and I looked up recipes that didn't include eggs, because that's another thing. I have a thing with eggs in every baked good. I'm not against eating it if someone makes it for me, but for me to have to use so many eggs for certain ingredients, I just challenged myself to be like, you know what, I'm gonna bake a delicious cake without eggs and without cow's milk and stuff like that. And I succeeded, and it was kind of cool. The first cake I made wasn't the best. I'll put a picture. The swirls came out cool, or there was like a cinnamon cake or something I was trying to make. But yeah, it was all right. Like, I was like, okay, I need more sugar or something like that. And then the second cake I made, I was like, okay, we're on to something. So you see, the dough is coming together, looking good, slowly but surely. I'm trying to think if I have enough flour, because I'm poking the dough and it definitely feels pretty wet. So I may need to add more flour. So that's the adjustment that is needed sometimes with bacon. Let me grab more flour. Let me see. So I took about a half a cup and I'm gonna sprinkle on top and see what happens. Because we want the dough to be like sexy. You know what I'm saying? Like a smooth, refined dough, not all like wet and tacky. And whew, when I started, oh, my dough was so sticky. My hands were getting so gooey, and it was challenging because I was overly saturating the dough. And so I had to learn quickly, like, oh, okay, that's not best. So you don't want a dry dough either. You just want it to come together. For me, I don't use my hands until I feel the dough is at a place that I respect. You know what I mean? Like, you're not about to get all crazy on me. Like, we're gonna work it in the bowl, right? Because we have a spoon. We don't need to use our hands yet. However, we will need it very soon. So, coming soon. But yeah, for me, baking that cake meant, oh, I can do what I need to do when I need to do it. I just like the idea that I could do it myself. So then the cake turned into bread. I was like, I can make bread. Like, I'll look it up. I can make it. Why not? I just started to get curious, more and more curious as time went on. And I realized the value in it, especially as someone that, like I said, in my past videos at least, I am someone that lives very unorthodox. Like, I just go with the flow every single day. And some days are easier than others as far as like how to provide X, Y, and Z, how to provide for things, how to buy things or whatever. And I was like, I want the option to buy a big old thing of flour and be able to make as much bread as I want, versus like every time I need a loaf of bread, I gotta go to the store, I gotta rely on someone. And I think there's this like fun independence that comes with making your own stuff. And like I said, I'm also on a mission to make sure that I don't always need eggs and certain ingredients. Like the minimal ingredients that I can use, like that is something that's very important to me, just because like it's like as I've been on this journey, it really matters. So you'll see as time goes on, maybe if I keep sharing this, that I'm gonna like switch up the way I do things and how I do it, you might see an ingredient, see a cookie, and it always has eggs. And I'm like, nah, we're gonna try something different. Okay, so now this is what my dough is looking like. Let me zoom it in a little bit. And by zoom, I mean come closer. So like, be patient. Dough and bread takes patience. Like, you have to have a moment to be like, okay, this is where I want it, this is where I don't. And by the way, I didn't use all the flour. I just put a little, I sprinkle a little. I'm gonna still sprinkle a little because I still see some tacky parts and it's just a little sticky, and that's okay because that means your dough is hydrated. You just don't want it like so gooey to the point where you can't even like mess with it, because we're gonna need the dough soon. But for now, like I said, I do this in the bowl until it gets to a spot where I respect. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna respect me. You're not about to get all crazy in here. This is looking pretty good. I'm about to put it on my clean surface. I just cleaned everything off, of course. So now I'm going to grab the dough and have some fun, because I think that's part is fun, honestly. So, okay, let's see. So I'm gonna dump it out on the table. I guess I should show y'all that too, huh? Oh, this is gonna be interesting, trying to figure out what angle I need. Okay, hold on, maybe like here. Okay, so I'll sit so that y'all can really see me, but we're about to knead this dough. So I'm gonna dump this out, and you always wanna sprinkle a little flour on the surface. Gotta have some tea. Okay. This I'll move, and then I'm gonna move this bowl as well. And then here's my dough. Okay, so the evolution is pretty cool, in my opinion at least. But yeah, we're gonna just start feeling it. It's soft, but it's not sticking so much to me. You know, it's like, okay, you have respect for me. You know what I mean? So we're gonna let it become stronger. So this is how you develop gluten. I'm not even gonna throw too many terms your way. But I know a thing or two. The gluten is developing as you knead the dough. So this is the process of just like getting your dough as strong as possible. Right now it's a little flimsy, a little gooey, and it still needs to stay soft, and it needs to be a level of like, it just needs to be malleable, but not to the point where it feels just too sticky. I don't know how else to explain that except for that, honestly. So just keep kneading. You should knead for at least 10 minutes, to be honest. That's why I was like, bread is a labor of love, I'm not gonna lie, but it's so worth it. It's about a 3-hour process, I would say, overall, but you get breaks because after we knead this dough, we're gonna let the dough rise and give it a moment to really get strong. That's the core thing in bread making, is just you want your dough to be so strong, because that's when you get to shape it, you get to manipulate it in a way that you need it. If you want baguettes, long baguettes, if you want you know, to have it in a specific pan, you still need to shape it in a way, which I'm sure I'll shape with y'all today. We'll see, because obviously I want y'all to see the end result and all of that. By the way, it's getting a little sticky, so I'm putting a little more flour down. But it's just when you're moving the dough so much, yeah, see, it's kind of stuck to my hand a little bit. So we put a little more flour, but you don't want it to be a brick pad, but you also don't want it so sticky, because it's gonna get stickier after it rises. You're gonna touch it and be like, what's going on here? So handle that now, basically. By the way, I have this fancy little tool. It helps you scrape the bread easy as possible, but if you don't have this tool, that is perfectly fine. You do not need all that, okay? The goal here is to just get a damn dough formed. Wow, to do this and talk is crazy. But I think this is true wealth. It's like knowing that you can create from scratch, no matter what part of life you're in. If you're in the most wealthiest bag, if you're on your way to wealth, if you're kind of challenged with wealth right now, whatever the case may be, I think this skill set, knowing how to create from scratch, is so beautiful in my opinion. And so that's what I wanted to share with y'all. It's just, this is what means so much to me. So this is getting pretty strong. Not as much stickiness. Even if there's a little stickiness, that's okay. But almost done, honestly. After this, it's just letting your dough rise. That's why for me, sometimes I'll start in the morning. I'll bake my bread. I bake literally every few days, no lie. Like at one point I was baking every single day. I had to be like, okay, I gotta chill. But every few days I'm making a fresh batch of bread, which it just hits different when you make your own bread and then you go to the store and buy store-bought bread. I actually don't do it as much anymore. Like I'll do bakery breads, but not necessarily like the packaged one. I have nothing against it. It's just, I just taste the difference. I don't know. It's like a pretty big difference. And I like to just have an idea of what's going on with my bread, like to know that you did it on your own. It's just, it hits different, you know? And that's actually a lesson I've learned even on my journey. It's just like, when you do something from a place of like, I did that, I created that, there's a beauty in that, and not from an egotistical place. It's from like a, whoa, I really overcame that. Like, yeah, I had support, but it was me praying and me connecting and me putting myself out there that actually called in a level of support and helped me to find the confidence in myself. And you know, it's just cute. Yeah, people say you could poke it, and if it comes up slowly but still leaves a dent, that's a good sign. I'm gonna add a little more flour only because I don't like how much it's sticking. Because like I said, I use bread flour typically, so already this would be together, but it's still together. Like, you see my dough, you see her. But you know what I mean? Like, I have a vibe that I'm looking for. So it really is like temperature checks. Kind of like when you cook in normal food. Like, yeah, the thing that you're making could be done, but there's a level that is a sweet spot for you. And so that's what you start to learn with bread. It's like, oh, I like when the dough is decent, but there's a just right that feels right. Like right now, I'm moving it, I'm doing all this, it's not sticking to me. There's something beautiful about that for me. You know what I mean? That way when it rises, when the bread rises, after it rises, I can utilize it easier. But okay, all-purpose flour. I think I like my bread dough a little more because the gluten forms more, so it doesn't get as sticky, but this works. Put some oil in the bowl, just a little bit. Just literally like use the cover of your oil and put a tiny little drop. Just a tiny little drop, because we want our dough to stay hydrated. Because like I said, that's why I didn't want it to get too sticky. I didn't want to put it back in the bowl to rise and it's sticky, because now the oil mixed with the stickiness and the wetness, it's gonna get even more slimy. So you want it at a good state before you place it in the bowl, long story short. So moving the oil around, because you kind of just want it to stay as hydrated as possible. Then you flip the dough around, and then that's it. And then you kind of cover it. You have the option to eat, if you don't have like saran wrap, you can just place the dough on the mat, on here, and then put the bowl over it like this and let it rise for like an hour. I usually do my saran wrap, but whatever. I'm gonna flip it over. I'm gonna actually take the dough out. I'm gonna form a ball, it has the oil all over it, which is great. And so I should probably, okay. This ball is formed, and then we're gonna just place it right here. Get that baby covered, and wait an hour. So I'll come back to y'all in an hour. All right, I'm back. Let's see what we have. The dough has risen. Whoo, this baby is big, okay? This is so big. Also, just had dinner, it's dinner time, so if you hear noise in the house gonna house, people gonna move, do what they gotta do, like right now. But let them do them. They're allowed to move along their own house, move around their own house. Okay. Should probably show y'all. It got pretty big. You're supposed to punch it down. You know, it rose up, but yeah. All good. So, okay, so it doesn't stick, like I always say. We're gonna scrape it up, grab it, and then we're gonna put some more flour down. I just ate and stuff, so you know, a little discombobulated, but we back. Okay, so the flour, as I've always said, is gonna help to not stick, because like I said, it's always gonna be a little sticky. We just don't want it extremely sticky. So right now, dough is giving good vibes. I'm liking it. I'm liking what I'm seeing. So the next step, get ready for part 2, which is the second rise. The second rise is very important because the bread has to rise before going into the oven. So I'm gonna cut it in half. Let's do this. Maybe this looks half to me. So that's what we finna do. Okay. All right. Definitely not even, but I will weigh it just to see what we're working with. But, whew, so different. So yeah, this is 700, this is 400. So big difference, clearly. So I just cut a piece and bring it to the next one. Like I said, if you don't have a scale, you just eyeball it. If you have two different sizes, that's okay. Unless there's a reason why you want a specific size and that's different, of course, then it matters. But in this case, I like it. Okay, so now my preference is that when I'm shaping my bread, I have a good amount of flour down. So yeah, always extra flour. Even after you see a recipe and it tells you how much you need for the actual dough, always have extra, like at least a cup extra of flour. I would say less, you don't need that much, but it's better to have more than less. That's how I roll, okay? So have some extra flour, that way you can just start to roll your dough out a little bit, knead it just a little. You know, it's been resting, so you wanna wake her up. You know what I mean? Give her a quick little tap, tap. I'm grabbing some flour that's over here, bringing it on over. But yeah, it's just feel through it, but you do want to have some flour surrounding your bread, of course. And now we're shaping it. So depending on what shape you want, lately I've really been doing like my long shapes. That way everyone in the house can eat really well. It gives a lot of pieces of bread. I'll put pictures of ways that I've had my bread. I do love the long, not necessarily a baguette, but just thicker so that we can, you know, make a sandwich. The other day I made homemade tomato soup with a few slices of bread on the side, and it was really good. Just a matter of what you're looking for. Obviously you have options, but let me move this chair up so I can sit, see y'all, and also do what I gotta do. So we're gonna flatten the dough. Just flatten it. This is my technique. It's all about just like rolling it up. You could literally leave it in a ball and bake it like, let it rise and then bake it like that. But it's cool to have a nice shape. It's fun. It's actually fun to have a specific shape that you're going for, aim for, and see how much does it rise or how well does it come out. I personally enjoy that process, so you know, I'll stick to it. I get it as long as I can, and I personally am going to utilize this right here to bake my bread, to let it rise in and bake it. And basically this can fit 2 loaves and let it rise up. I'm gonna eyeball it, see how long this is, kind of like, okay, that's a perfect length. So now I'm gonna kind of get it into like a rectangular-ish shape so that when we roll it, it can be as even as possible. I have this thing when I bake, it's like, even if it's a rectangle, the top, one side has a higher top than the other, and it's not a perfection game. It's just let's get some good edible bread made and done well enough, you know? So all I'm gonna do now is roll it, pinch and roll, basically. Just keep pinching and rolling until you have what looks like a loaf. If it starts to stick, you know, if you don't have one of these, use a spoon. Have your spoon slide, you know, the back of a spoon. Get handy, you know what I mean? You don't need all the fancy tools. You can make whatever work. Take a little spoon. Yeah, look, the spoon's working perfectly. Look at that. You know, just do what you can to make sure it's not too sticky. The minute you're doing this and you feel like your dough is a little too sloppy, too slippy, like even right now, this dough doesn't feel the strongest. You know, I'm never gonna hide the imperfections that I have while baking. I think there's beauty in imperfections, honestly. And so, yeah, this dough feels a little flimsy, definitely. And so, like I said, all-purpose flour versus bread flour, there is a difference for me and me personally. This one just feels a little less strong, but we can still make it work. Watch, it still won't come out perfectly fine, okay? So this is kind of what we're going for. This size looks good to me. It's rolled up tight enough, but you don't want it too tight. And then you tuck the ends in to make sure there's not like open spirals. You're just gonna tuck it in basically. I don't know if I showed you that part, I kind of went fast, but yeah, just kind of roll it up and then boom. And then you let it rise inside of here. I have parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, I say butter your loaf, your pan, I mean, and then put it right in. It shouldn't stick. Honestly, I haven't had any issues, and I just put it in the pan, which is nice, honestly. Oh, I think I'm cutting too big of a piece. No, this is fine. Okay, so parchment paper, boom. Place it right in, and then this loaf can also go right in. I'm gonna put a little flour before. I don't know if you ever see like bakery bread will have a little bit of residue of flour. I don't care to have it sometimes, but some days I just do what I want. So today I'm like, okay, let me have a little flour look. So I'm gonna take some of the flour from my clean surface and just spread it out on it just a little bit. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. There may be little humps and stuff. That's okay, truly. I've had to get over that. Okay, so take the bread and place it right in. Boom. Now we're gonna get ready for the next one. We're not gonna have it so far to the end that we can actually move it kind of in the middle a little bit. Yeah, like even this right here, there's like a little skinny part, but it's gonna be fine, okay? Doesn't have to be perfect. So same exact thing with this one, okay? I'm gonna literally do what I just did once again. We're gonna see how this comes out. You know, that's the beauty of baking, and it can feel frustrating until you kind of get over it and you're just like, hey, look, I'm gonna get what I get. So I can do everything right and still have it come out differently. And I think I've just really learned to celebrate that, because life ain't about perfection. It's just about like enjoying the process and truly like eating it and being able to eat it, in my opinion. So here we are. Like I said, once it's kind of rolled up, pinch. I don't know if I told you that last time, but yeah, always pinch the seams and then tuck it in a little bit so that there's not like an opening. Like if you look here, it's kind of open, but then we're just gonna tuck that in. Okay, and then roll it if you can. Like I said, I always put a little bit of flour. Sometimes, not always. That was a lot of flour, but we're gonna make it work. So spread it out as much as you can, and then roll it back over. Perfect, spread it out. Okay, and then boom, this is our other loaf. Like here, like this, bow. Then we put it right in next to the other loaf, okay? So now you have two similar sized loaves just hanging out. And what I like to do when I have two loaves is grab another parchment paper, which I have already cut out here, and you just put it in between it, just so that it has a barrier and so that they can be their own independent selves. And yeah, you're just kind of letting them rise on their own so that they don't end up sticking together, basically. You want them to kind of be independent, do their own thing, not mess up the other groove, the other person's groove, or the other bread's groove, if you will. But yeah, so now I'm just kind of going over the bread, seeing if there's anything that looks abnormal, weird. All right, so now we prepare to bring it into, actually not oven yet. So you never want to just shake your bread and then move on. You have to now let it rise. That is when you get the true shape and size of the bread, which is so important. Like, you don't want to bake a bread that had so much more potential to get bigger. Like, you want that thing to rise up to the occasion, you understand? So that's what we're doing. So I'm gonna smooth out the edges. Try to think if I want to score my bread now or not. I sometimes do that because it helps with the rising process. I don't see that many people do that. They usually will score the bread after it rises. But scoring just means it's giving the bread more space to move. So think of it as staying like this, trying to open up and get bigger. It may have parts in it that needs to rip. So we naturally take a blade or a knife and help rip the bread, technically, which is scoring it so that it can rise more and have more room to move around and get flexible, basically. So I'm gonna see if I can do a few little scores. So it's just quick little lines, boom, 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 right now, and then do a long one. And let's see what that does. You know, I'm very flexible about scoring. It doesn't matter too much to me. I'll zoom in after to show you. But as many lines as you want. You can do designs. I mean, you really can. But for the beginners out there, I'm queen of simple lines that helps the bread to open up and to get as big, like I said, as possible. And so let me kind of give you guys a closer look. The bread now has lines in it, and you can see that it has more room to open up, do what it needs to. Boom, bam, pow. Love that for us. So we're gonna now let it rise. You have options. I think the number one thing is to not let it overly rise, because then the dough can get very sloppy. We can get into those terms eventually, but definitely observe your bread. You want it to double in size, but not to the point where it's like 2 hours gone by, it's now losing its shape. It can deflate even if you let it rise for too long. So the sweet spot, especially if your house is warm, is to let it rise for about 30 minutes to an hour. I would say the minute 30-minute mark hits, come check your bread out for me, please. Come take a look, see what's going on. And then you could be like, nope, it could rise some more. It's kind of an eyeballed thing, to be honest. But if you're the type of person that's like, can you just tell me what I need to do? Then okay, fine. I would say 30 minutes is good, but 45 minutes maybe better. So that's my truth, I'm not gonna lie. So let's test that out. Let's see after 30 minutes, I'm gonna check back in with you all, and let's see how big they get. Very important, by the way, we have to cover our bread. Every time we're letting it rest, I don't care if you're letting it rest for 5 minutes. I mean, 5 minutes is not that bad. But you always wanna cover it because you want it to stay nice and soft. You don't want it to get hard and dried out. So always cover it. If for whatever reason, I don't know, you just don't have time or whatever the case may be to cover, you forgot, spray it with a little water, just a tiny bit of water. But we do that before we put it in the oven at least. So for right now, all you have to do is just cover it. That's all it's asking of us right now. So, okay, that was clearly a fake actor. Let me go and get a plastic and I'll be right back. Or actually I might get another one of these containers and just cover it up because that's easier. So, be back. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, instead of doing a saran wrap, I'm just gonna cover it with another one of these pans because I have many of them. So it's just easier. Sometimes saran wrap, you gotta fiddle with it and do all that, but sometimes you just cover it with a container and you're fine. But a lot of people will tell you to do it with like a cloth or something. This works pretty fine for me. So yeah, 30 minutes. Let's see, already as I'm sitting here talking to y'all, I see it opening up. The slits, the scores that I made, they're already opening up slowly. I don't know if you guys can see that, but yeah, so doing good so far. Okay, and let's cover it up, and now we wait. So I will check back in about 30 minutes. All right, we're back. First of all, round of applause to all the bakers out there that record these videos, because it takes time to go back and forth, back and forth. It's different when you're doing your own thing on a day-to-day and you record, go do your thing, come back and say, oh yeah, camera, set up, so getting used to that. All right, let's do the reveal. I'm gonna do it with y'all. Okay, I have notes, but they done rose, I'll tell you that much. But okay. So I think I could have scored them better. I mean, wow, they did rise up pretty good. Yeah, nothing's squishing. But as I said, the sizing, it's gonna vary for sure. Okay, so this is good and ready to go in the oven, to be honest. So I always bake my bread at about 375 is what I do. I actually messed up and didn't preheat my oven yet. So very important to put your bread in a preheated oven. Do not skimp on that, okay? Take the time. And usually I'll preheat it the minute that I let this rise, but I've been doing that lately and my oven preheats so fast. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just wait, because I hate to know that my oven's on with nothing in it and I'm still waiting for my bread to rise. So that don't slide with me anymore. But yeah, like I said, I have notes. Like even this side of the bread kind of started to like crack and do some things. But for the most part, we're doing good. But yeah, before I put it in the oven, I'm just gonna spray it with some water, and then that's pretty much it. Usually people will score their bread right before they put it in, but like I said, we already did that, so we're in good shape. But I'm really curious to see how this comes out, especially not having the bread flour. This is just all-purpose flour, so yeah, but so far so good. Oh, and this is also a perfect time to spread some, I would put personally margarine. If you have butter, that's cool too, but some butter, and then put a little bit of sesame seeds. Like if you want sesame seeds on your bread, or if you want whatever type of toppings, now would be the time to do that. But I'm not doing all that this time. I haven't really been doing that. They fall everywhere anyway. So yeah, but we're gonna let this chill for a second until my oven preheats. So we're gonna give it some time. Almost done. We're at the finish line almost, right? Okay, so oven is preheated. I am about to put it in. All I need to do is spray it with some water. So I have a little cute spray bottle, and I just spray it. It gives it the hydration that it needs, and not overly hydrating it is the key though. You need to make sure that it's just moist, you know what I mean? It has a little drizzle. That's why we spray it. When you pour it. All right, so I'm gonna put it in the oven now. Okay. You know the saying, when you have a plan, God laughs at it. Yeah, God got a good laugh at me today, because of course the first video ever, of course, yeah, and they're making crazy mess. Anyway, for first time ever that I want to record baking bread for y'all. I've been baking bread after bread after bread, and it comes out like truly. And then the one I record, God's like, oh, let's not let it come out all fluffy and risen. Let's just let it come out like this cracker bread. I don't know what to call this, but these are the results. I mean, there's textbook things that could say that the bread, I let it rise too much. You know, there's a few things that could be said, but I don't know. I don't have anything for y'all other than this is how it came out because God said so. I've put pictures to show y'all what I've been baking. But this is what happened. So I think the step now is to taste it, and let's get creative, of course. Come on, come on, come on. Something cooperate, just something. Hey, look. But yeah, so let's see what it at least tastes like. And I'm a pretty decent critic when it comes to my own baked goods. Like, I definitely don't try to fluff or like lie. So let's see. Yeah, like I rewatched the video. The ingredients look good to me, but yet this is what it looks like on the inside. Not bad, honestly. So like I said, it'll still be bread, still be edible, right? It feels soft, okay? The texture is soft inside, but then it's hard on the outside. And the thing with this bread, when it was in the oven, it still looked really white, even when it was time for it to like come out of the oven. Okay. So I had to go in, put a little butter, put it back in the oven for a higher temp, even though I always do 375. When I checked it after 30 minutes, it was still really white, and it just started to not look how I need it to look. So I'm just like, okay, something's happening, obviously. I had to leave it in the oven, no lie, for a good hour and 15 minutes. I never have to do that. Usually by 40, 45 minutes, I'm like, okay, it really needs to get out. Oh my gosh, it's getting really browned. But this is how brown it got, and that's after putting butter and putting it back in the oven and giving it all the time. So anyway, let me try this. It's bread. Still tastes good. Edible. Flavorful too, I'm not gonna lie. So I did not forget the sugar, because sometimes when my baked goods go wrong, per se, I'll look it up on Google. It's like, oh, why is it doing this? One thing they said is sugar. You may not have had enough sugar. This has perfect amount of sugar and salt, for sure. Like, no lie. It's good. The crunch is nice. God is just making a point right now. Which is like, you think you're gonna record this and it's gonna come out all perfect. But no. Yeah. I mean, it's a good piece of bread. Like, truly, regular piece of delicious bread. It just didn't get the height that I was looking for. And thank God I showed you guys what it looked like before it went in the oven, because it definitely rose so much. But then it kind of drooped down, so I don't know what to say, truly, because that's the growing pains with baking. It's just, sometimes you get it nail on the head and sometimes you don't, and it's still edible. And this is a perfect example of that. So maybe God wanted me to show you that example of how like things will go wrong in the kitchen and I still enjoy it. This is another piece. Hopefully you guys can see. Okay. Very good bread. But the look, you know, it's kind of like don't judge a book by its cover, right? That's usually what happens with my breads. But I'm the type of person I like to learn from what I've done and be like, okay, how can I improve it? That's basically what I'm doing right now. But yes, obviously, if you were following along with this video, know that this is not my best work, but it's life. You know what I mean? This is what I have to show for it. Yeah, it's just flat. Typically it would be like this high, right? But my divine team was like, meh, let's shake it up a bit. Let's mess with your emotions a little, which I can be honest, when it just happened, I started to feel a little sad. I'm like, oh, my first YouTube video, for it to come out like this, that's not fun. And then as the time went by, I was like, okay, clearly my divine team is doing something here. And by the way, I had plans with these 2 loaves. I actually had a really good plan. So it's not really about how it came out and the fact that I don't get to show you guys the perfect product. It's actually the plans I had next for them. I really was looking for a nice thick slice of bread where, like I said, I keep telling you guys I want to make a sandwich, and even with this I could technically cut it and open it and make a sandwich like that. So we have options here, right? However, what I was looking for I didn't get. That doesn't mean I give up. This is when I go harder. Now I'm like, hold up, why did you come out like this? But I will be enjoying both loaves, as you guys see. Can't make this up. I'm eating. And I will be sharing this with others, so they're pretty supportive of me, so I'm sure they're gonna be like, so dead. But they know damn well this ain't my best work, and that's okay. But yeah, still really delicious. So hey, what can you do? But now I'm like really eating for y'all. Usually after bread comes out of the oven, let it cool. Warm bread is always great, but you don't want to cut into it the minute you take it out the oven because it's still cooking. You know, something that just came out of something, give it a moment to rest. At least 5 to 7 minutes, but preferably 10 to 20 minutes. And I put it on this because there's this grid that helps the ventilation, and the bottom of the bread can get nice and cool, which is important because it can still start to cook the bottom. And just so you guys know, this is what the bottom looks like. Not what I was looking for, but hey, we gotta roll with the punches. Whew. Well, that's not what I was expecting, but it's clearly what my life entails a lot of times. It's not always what I expect, but I still make the best out of it. And so this is really that representation. I did not, I repeat, did not plan to share this lesson with y'all today, but clearly this was in the books for me because I have really gotten comfortable making bread. So I'm actually pretty surprised by this, but I think I'm impressed to see what I do next with it. I mean, there's actually options here that I can look forward to, but I was hoping to show you guys the true product, but next time. I think that's the beauty. I can make another video and try again. Dust yourself off and try it again, okay? But This has been a couple hours in the making, and the end result is what it is, but life goes on. All right, let me stop. Anyway, this is still fun. I enjoyed this. It's my first time doing this with y'all. So welcome to this side of my life. I hope to share more recipes. I laugh while saying that because this is hilarious. Like, God's plan, truly. I literally, truly. But yeah, so there you have it. Support your girl. You see, I'm pushing. I'm going through it a little bit, but look, we got through it. I still want to share this video because I think that imperfection is still beautiful. And I don't have to trash this video just because the results didn't come out how I liked. We're gonna try it next time. So hopefully you're here next time when I do it, right? But I am Davielle once again. Thank you so much if you made it this far and saw this. And hopefully you're not disappointed by the results. I hope that your results come out exactly how you hope. And if it doesn't, just know that it's okay. It is giving you a chance to continue to improve. Don't give up, please. Because I've had many of these failed, so-called, I can't even call it failed because it's edible. And so that's the part. All right, now I'm gonna start rambling because I really didn't see this coming, but hey. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this at least a little bit, and hopefully it gives you a little confidence in the kitchen to see that someone that's here recording, showing you how to do something, also went through some mishaps, and yet I can still smile and still push through and be like, look, I'm gonna still serve this. Whoever wanna eat some bread, look, hey, I got you, it's here. So, hey, that's all I can say. But I will see y'all when I see y'all. Bye. As you can see, we have eaten most of this. Okay, it's still very soft, but yet that crunch is still there. Hey, look.